Hello friends, I am Hebron Peters. Welcome back to the series of 10 Lost Tribes of Israel. Hope you might have liked the introduction in part 1 of the series. So let us continue. We discussed in the previous part 1 video that there were 12 tribes of Israel, out of which 10 tribes are missing. Are Japanese among the 10 lost tribes? What do you think? Let's recall from our part 1 video. The lost tribes were Reuben, Simeon, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Ephraim, and half of Manasseh. They were lost when the northern kingdom was sacked by Assyrian king Tiglath-Pilneser in 722 BC. According 1 Chronicles 5:26, they were deported to Hala, and Haber, and Hara, and to the river of Gozan, unto this day. The 10 tribes were lost afterwards. Isaiah chapter 11 verse 12, and he shall raise a banner to the nations, and he shall gather the lost of Israel, and the scattered ones of Judah he shall gather from the four corners of the earth. Will the prophecy of the Bible according to Isaiah 11 verse 12 be fulfilled?
Hello friends, I am Hebron Peters. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Christian Chronicler. I create informative videos related to Christianity. If you are new to this channel, do bless me by clicking like and subscribe button. Also don't forget to share and comment. It boosts up my morale to create such videos for you. Let's start our informative video on
10 Lost Tribes of Israel. Part 2, Japan.
Let us start with Japan. Japanese people follow two major religions, Buddhism and Shinto. As Buddhism was originated in India, so the link cannot be figured out. Let us turn towards Shinto religion and see whether any similarity exists. According to Arai Masakubo, I am a Japanese writer living in Japan. As I study the Bible, I began to realize that many traditional customs and ceremonies in Japan are very similar to the ones of ancient Israel. I considered that perhaps these rituals came from the religion and customs of the Jews and the 10 lost tribes of Israel who might have come to ancient Japan. In Nagano Prefecture, Japan, there is a large Shinto shrine named Suwatasha. At Suwatasha, the traditional festival called Ontasai is held on April 15th every year. Many of the traditional ceremonies in Japan seem to indicate that the lost tribes of Israel came to ancient Japan. A traditional festival called Ontasai is held on April 15th every year. This festival illustrates the story of Isaac in chapter 22 of Genesis in the Bible, that is, the story that Abraham was about to sacrifice his own son Isaac. The festival Ontasai has been held since ancient days and has been thought of as the most important festival of Suwatasha. Next to the shrine Suwatasha, there is a mountain called Mount Moriya, or Moriya-san in Japanese. And the people from the Suwa area call the god of Mount Moriya Moriya no Kami, which means the god of Moriya. At the festival, a boy is tied up by a rope to a wooden pillar, and placed on a bamboo carpet. A Shinto priest comes to him preparing a knife, but then a messenger, another priest, comes there, and the boy is released and a deer is given for sacrifice. It reminds us of the story that Isaac was released after an angel comes to Abraham. Even in historic times, people thought that this custom of deer sacrifice was strange, because animal sacrifice is not a Shinto tradition. People call this festival the festival for Misakuchi god. Misakuchi might be Mi Isakuchi. Mi means great, Isaku is probably Isaac, the Hebrew word Yitzhak, and Chi is something for the end of the word. It seems that the people of Suwa made Isaac a god, as in many areas ancestors or noteworthy persons. The custom of the boy about to be sacrificed and then released, is no longer practiced, but we can still see the custom of the wooden pillar called Uniyi Basura, which means sacrifice pillar. The Uniyi Basura on which the boy is supposed to be tied up. These days, people use stuffed animals instead of performing a real animal sacrifice. Tying a boy along with animal sacrifice was regarded as savage by people of the Meiji era, about 100 years ago, and those customs were discontinued. But the festival itself still remains today. Mount Moriah may be named after Moses or Musa. The crest of the Imperial House of Japan is the same as that found on one of the gates of Jerusalem. The crest of the Imperial House of Japan is a round mark in the shape of a flower with 16 petals. The crest at Herod's Gate also has 16 petals.
The shape of the Japanese omakoshi appears similar to the Ark of the Covenant. Japanese sing and dance in front of it with shouts and to the sounds of musical instruments. These are quite similar to the customs of ancient Israel. Japanese carry the omakoshi on their shoulders with poles, usually 2 poles. So did the ancient Israelites. The Levites carried the Ark of God with poles on their shoulders, as Moses had commanded in accordance with the word of the Lord. 1 Chronicles 15:15. The Israeli Ark of the Covenant had 2 poles. Exodus 25:10-15. Some restored models of the Ark as it was imagined to be have used 2 poles on the upper parts of the Ark. But the Bible says those poles were to be fastened to the Ark by the 4 rings on its 4 feet. Exodus 25:12. Hence, the poles must have been attached on the bottom of the Ark. This is similar to the Japanese omakoshi. The Israeli Ark had 2 statues of gold cherubim on its top. Cherubim are a type of angel, heavenly being having wings like birds. Japanese omakoshi also have on its top the gold bird called ho-oh, which is an imaginary bird and a mysterious heavenly being. The entire Israeli Ark was overlaid with gold. Japanese omakoshi are also overlaid partly and sometimes entirely with gold. The size of an omakoshi is almost the same as the Israeli Ark. Japanese omakoshi could be a remnant of the Ark of ancient Israel. If the scenery of Jerusalem were replaced by Japanese scenery, this scene would be just the same as what can be observed in Japanese festivals. In a Japanese island of the inland sea of Setu, the men selected as the carriers of the omakoshi stay together at a house for 1 week before they would carry the omakoshi. This is to prevent profaning themselves. Furthermore, on the day before they carry omakoshi, the men bathe in seawater to sanctify themselves. This is similar to an ancient Israelite custom.
The Star of David is a symbol also used at Ise-Jinggu, the Shinto shrine for the Imperial House of Japan. Ise-Jinggu in Miprev, Japan, is the Shinto shrine built for the Imperial House of Japan. On both sides of the approaches to the shrine, there are street lamps made of stone. You can see the Jewish Star of David carved on each of the lamps near the top. The crest used on the inside of the shrine, Izawanomiya, at Ise-Jinggu is also the Star of David. This has existed since ancient times. Japanese religious priests Yamabushi put a black box on their foreheads just as Jews put a phylactery on their foreheads. They puts a black small box called a token, which is tied to his head with a black cord. It really resembles a Jew putting on a phylactery, black box, on his forehead with a black cord. The size of this black box token is almost the same as the Jewish phylactery. But the shape of the token is round and looks like a flower. The Yamabushi use a big seashell as a horn. This is very similar to a Jew blowing a shofar, or ram's horn. The way it is blown and sounds of the Yamabushi's horn are very much like a shofar. And there were no sheep in Japan, the Yamabushi had to use seashell horns instead of ram's horns. And it might be the reason why they used deer for sacrifice. In Japan, there is the legend of Tengu who lives on a mountain and has the figure of a Yamabushi. He has a pronounced nose and supernatural capabilities. A ninja, who was an agent or spy in the old days while working for his lord, goes to Tengu at the mountain to get from him supernatural abilities. Tengu gives him a Torah no Maki, a scroll of the Torah, after giving him additional powers. This scroll of the Torah is regarded as a very important book which is helpful for any crisis. Japanese use this word sometimes in their current lives. There is no knowledge that a real scroll of a Jewish Torah was ever found in a Japanese historical site. We can't help but think that this scroll of the Torah is a usage of the holy book called Torah, used by Jews.
The Japanese Shinto priest robe has cords of 20 to 30 centimeters long, about 10 inches, hung from the corners of the robe. These fringes are the custom of the Israelites. Deuteronomy 22:12 says, "Make them fringes in the corners of the garments throughout their generations." The Jewish talit prayer shawl, which the Jews put on when they pray, has fringes in the corners according to tradition. The rectangle of cloth on the robe of Japanese Shinto priest looks very similar to the ephod of the Kohen, the Jewish priest.
The Jews wave a sheaf of their harvest stacks of grain 7 weeks before Shavuot. They do this also at the Feast of Booths, Sukkot, Leviticus 23:40. This has been a tradition since the time of Moses. Ancient Israelite priests also waved a plant branch when he sanctifies someone. David said, "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean." Psalm 51:7. This is also a traditional Japanese custom. When a Japanese priest sanctifies someone or something, he waves a plant branch. Or, he waves a harinasa, which is like a plant branch. Today's harinasa is simplified and made of white paper that is folded in a zigzag pattern like small lightning bolts, but in olden days it was a plant branch or cereals. The inside of God's tabernacle in ancient Israel was divided into 2 parts. One is the holy place, and another the Holy of Holies. The Japanese Shinto shrine is also divided into 2 parts. The functions prepared in the Japanese shrine are similar to the ones of the Israelite tabernacle. Japanese people pray in front of its holy place. They cannot enter inside. Only Shinto priests can enter. Shinto priest enters the Holy of Holies only at special times. This is similar to the Israelite tabernacle. In front of a Japanese shrine, there is a gate called the torii. It is not found in China or in Korea, it is peculiar to Japan. The torii gate consists of 2 vertical pillars and a bar connecting the upper parts. And in Aramaic language, which ancient Israelites used, the word for gate was tera. Historically, Japanese used the lunar calendar, when January 15th was the official date for the New Year celebration. It is a Japanese custom during the celebration to eat mochi, rice cakes, throughout the 7 days. This is a similar custom to the Jewish, for the Bible states, "And on the 15th day of the same month, first month, is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord, 7 days you must eat unleavened bread." Leviticus 23 verse 6. The recipe for unleavened bread is the same for Japanese mochi, because if you use rice as the ingredient instead of wheat flour, it would become Japanese mochi. The Hebrew word for unleavened bread is matzah. It can't be believed that it is an accident that these 2 words sound alike. Indeed, the consonant-ical sounds are basically the same and the vowels didn't really exist in Hebrew, so they're virtually the same sounds. Furthermore, the Japanese people eat porridge with 7 kinds of bitter herbs during celebration. In historical times, people ate the herbs on January 15th. The ancient Israelites also ate with bitter herbs on the 15th of the first month, Exodus 12 verse 8. At the Jun festival in Kyoto, people start the festival with a shout of Anyaraya. Japanese do not understand the meaning of this Japanese word. But, Eiji Kawamorita, a Japanese scholar and a Christian pastor who mastered Hebrew, wrote in his book that this word came from the Hebrew expression Enia Hallelujah, which means I praise Yahweh, the Lord.
Hazuk is haim to mean disgrace or humiliation. In Hebrew, it is Hadak Hashem. Shinto priest Kayana sounds close to a Hebrew word Kohen, which means a priest. A Japanese folk song in Kumamoto Prev is sung Hallelujah, Halia, Halia, Tos, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yoitana. This also sounds like Hebrew.
The mirror called Yat no Kagamai, mirror of Yata, is placed in Isejing, which is the Shinto shrine for the imperial house. God's name is written in Hebrew on the back of this holy mirror. This mirror is regarded to be very holy and no one is permitted to see it. Usually 7 letters inside the central circle of the mirror might be read as I am that I am in Hebrew Ihaya Asher Ihaya, reading Ihaya 2 times. Others suggest that they could be read as Yahweh is light.
In the Japanese mythology, the imperial family of Japan and the nation of Yamato, the Japanese, are descendants from Ninigi, who came from heaven. Ninigi is the ancestor of the tribe of Yamato, or Japanese nation, while Jacob is the ancestor of the Israelites. In the Japanese mythology, it was not Ninigi who was to come down from heaven, but the other. But when the other was preparing, Ninigi was born, and in a result, instead of him, Ninigi came down from heaven and became the ancestor of the Japanese nation. In the same way, according to the Bible, it was Esau, Jacob's elder brother, who was to become God's nation, but in a result, instead of Esau, God's blessing for the nation was given to Jacob, and Jacob became the ancestor of the Israelites. And in the Japanese mythology, after Ninigi came from heaven, he fell in love with a beautiful woman named Konohana Sakuya Hime and tried to marry her. But her father asked him to marry not only her but also her elder sister. However, the elder sister was ugly and Ninigi gave her back to her father. In the same way, according to the Bible, Jacob fell in love with beautiful Rachel and tried to marry her, Genesis chapter 29. But her father says to Jacob that he cannot give the younger sister before the elder, so he asked Jacob to marry the elder sister, Leah, also. However, the elder sister was not so beautiful, Jacob disliked her. Thus, there is a parallelism between Ninigi and Jacob. And in the Japanese mythology, Ninigi and his wife Konohana Sakuya Hime bear a child named Yamasachi Hiko. But Yamasachi Hiko is bullied by his elder brother and has to go to the country of a sea god. There Yamasachi Hiko gets a mystic power and troubles the elder brother by giving him famine, but later forgives his sin. In the same way, according to the Bible, Jacob and his wife Rachel bear a child named Joseph. But Joseph is bullied by his elder brothers and had to go to Egypt. There Joseph became the prime minister of Egypt and gets power, and when the elder brothers came to Egypt because of famine, Joseph helped them and forgives their sin. Thus, there is a parallelism between Yamasachi Hiko and Joseph. And in the Japanese mythology, Yamasachi Hiko married a daughter of the sea god, and bore a child named Ugaya Fukiyasu. Ugaya Fukiyasu had 4 sons. But his second and third sons were gone to other places. The fourth son is Emperor Jinmu, who conquers the land of Yamato. On this line is the imperial house of Japan. While, what is it in the Bible? Joseph married a daughter of a priest in Egypt, and bore Manasseh and Ephraim. Ephraim resembles Ugaya Fukiyasu in the sense that Ephraim had 4 sons, but his second and third sons were killed and died early, 1 Chronicles 7:20-27, and a descendant from the fourth son was Joshua, who conquered the land of Canaan, the land of Israel. On the line of Ephraim is the royal house of the 10 tribes of Israel. Thus we find a remarkable similarity between the biblical genealogy and Japanese mythology, between Ninigi and Jacob, Yamasachi Hiko and Joseph, and the imperial family of Japan and the tribe of Ephraim.
Recent DNA researches on Y chromosome showed that about 40% of the Japanese have DNA of haplogroup D. Y chromosome DNA is passed from father to son, and is classified according to genetic features into genetic groups called haplogroups from A to T. Only Japanese and Tibetan peoples in the world have haplogroup D at a high frequency. According to geneticists, haplogroup D is the compatriot of haplogroup E, which is found in all Jewish groups of the world. Haplogroups D and E were once one and have the common origin, as Wikipedia Encyclopedia states. Along with haplogroup E, D contains the distinctive Yap polymorphism, which indicates their common ancestry. Haplogroups D and E were once one, but became separate in the Near East. Those who remained in the Near East or went west became Jews, while those who moved east became the lost tribes of Israel in the east. The photo is a statue of an ancient Japanese samurai found in relics of the late 5th century AD in Nara, Japan. This statue shows realistically the ancient Japanese men's hairstyle called Mizura, which hair comes down under his cap and hangs in front of both ears with some curling. This hairstyle was widely seen among Japanese samurais, and very unique to Japan. Is it a mere coincidence that this resembles Jewish payet very much, which is also a hairstyle of hanging the hair in front of the ears along with some curling? Payet is a unique hairstyle for Jews and the origin is very old. Leviticus 19 verse 27 of the Bible mentions, "Do not cut the hair at the sides of your head." So this is all about first finding of 10 lost tribes of Israel. We will continue the search in different parts of the world. Hope you liked this video. Please like, subscribe and share. Also comment about what do you think where else more lost Israelites can be located. Bye for now. God bless you.